Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Ruike P671-CB. No, they still have not yet discovered names over there at Ruike. I love their stuff, but man, give it a name. It's really hard to keep track of all these numbers, even harder than ZT is. I was very excited to get my hands on this knife. It's a lot of things that I thought would check a lot of boxes. It's a Ruike. I love Ruike's budgets. I mean, that's pretty much all they make is budget stuff, but I love their stuff. I love their knives. I have 2 or 3 that I absolutely adore, and it's a front flipper, which I really love. It's got thumb studs also, but it's primarily a front flipper, and I thought, yes, sign me up for that. Runs on bearings, absolutely. 14C 28N steel that Ruike does a very good job with. Sign me up for that. I was all excited about it. That awesome, new, beautiful, the newer Ruikes come with this awesome mirror edge, which is just freaking gorgeous. I'm hoping I'm picking that up, but yeah. Total mirror edge. Looks like a KME edge. Just a great job. Sign me up for it. I was all excited for it. Since I've had it for a week or so and spent some time with it, not as excited about it. It's not a bad knife. There's just some things I don't understand about it. We'll get to that as we go along. Let's do some stats before we get too much farther in this so you guys get an idea what size thing. Not a big knife at all. Overall length, just 6.5 inches. Blade length, 2.8 inches. Blade thickness, here's where we start to get the stuff that I think is a bit thick at 0.135 inches. And the thing that I really don't get, the handle thickness on this is 0.58 inches for a small little front flipper. It's got a big, beefy, chunky handle, which results in a pretty big, beefy, chunky weight of 3.7 ounces. That doesn't sound crazy, but for a knife this size, that's a lot of weight. It's a hefty little thing for absolute certain. Do some size comparisons before we move on. First of all, we'll do a couple of our standards, and then we'll pull out some stuff more in this this price category. You have against your para 3, as you can see, it's even a little bit smaller than a para 3, which let me just see what a para 3 weighs, just to try and overemphasize my point about the chunkiness and the weight. You've got, what did I say, 3.7 ounces for, nope, I turned myself off there. 3.7 ounces for the Ruike, and come on, yeah, 3.3 for the para 3, which is a bigger knife. So that's kind of the point that I was trying to make there. For the size, it's pretty hefty. All right, keep on going with the size comparisons. Distracted myself for a moment there. Your Delica 4, still a lot smaller than that. Compare it against one of its brethren, who you'll see again later. This is the awesome Ruike P801. If you guys don't have one of these, get your hands on one. It's obviously a lot smaller than a P801, but and yeah, I did change this. It came with a blue pocket clip, and I made it not blue anymore. Didn't care for that, but other than that, amazing knife. We will compare it to your Rat Model 2. A little bit shorter than that even. Your Kershaw Atmos. A little bit shorter, and this is much slimmer knife, and infinitely lighter. Tangram Santa Fe, again right about in that same kind of price range. Santa Fe is a little bit bigger. And lastly, this is a knife that we will talk about in the conclusions again. This is the Real Steel Poltergeist collaboration, the Precision. Fairly similar in length. This is a little bit longer, but again, this is a heavy-duty small knife that I think maybe did a bit better job than the Ruike did. All right, quality-wise, nothing to really complain about. The only thing I would complain about is that this is carbon fiber laminate G10, which doesn't really bother me, but it does look kind of cheap. It's just too shiny. That's when you make carbon too shiny, it becomes obvious that it's not really like real carbon fiber. It's just a little thin layer of carbon over top of some G10. But you know, all the fit and finish is good. Blade centering's good. You know, lockup is good. No real problems with that. The G10 thumb studs feel really nice, and I do love that about Ruikes. I love this G10 little thumb stud thing they do. I think Real Steel started doing that more, but Rake I've noticed on some of their upcoming models too. They have this same kind of thing, and I really like that. I like the G10 thumb stud thing. As I said, I think Real Steel did it first, but still, it's cool. All the machining's good. Everything that should be smooth is smooth. Obviously, I've already talked about the blade. We'll talk about it more when we get to that. Pocket clip, nice deep carry pocket clip, looks good. I think that the billboarding is just about the right amount. Got the little, just the little notations there. The Rake logo on the pocket clip, which I think is okay. Some people get really upset about logos on pocket clips, but and this one is kind of big, but it doesn't bother me too much. It's a pretty, it's not something that screams knife, it's just got the name of the company on it, so I'm all right. You have the same thing on the blade. But nice looking knife for sure. Definitely a nice looking knife, and the quality on it is absolutely fine. Blade, as I've already mentioned, that amazing edge it comes with, very, very sharp, awesome out of the box. I mean, Rake just blows every other budget company, even including the almighty Civivi that we're all raving about. Their edges are still better out of the box than Civivi is. They're just, not that anything's wrong with the Civivis, but these are just fantastic. Great edge. Not too terribly thick behind the edge, 23 thousandths. I would like it to be a bit thinner. I would like the whole blade to be a bit thinner. It's, 0.135 inches, I said? Yeah, this should be like a 0.10, 0.11 blade. I think for a knife this size, it doesn't need to be this thick. It just doesn't. You can do heavier duty blades in small knives for sure, but for this particular front flipper, you want it to just be a fun, light little front flipper. I just wish the blade was a little bit thinner. It's not a horrible slicer at all, mostly benefited by the fact it comes with a great edge out of the box, so that helps out a whole lot. But, yeah, it's just, I just wish it was a bit thinner. Sharpening choil's done fairly well. It's not too bad. When you do sharpen it, though, these thumb studs are probably going to get in the way. You can remove them, though, which is a good thing. So I guess there's nothing to really complain about too much there. Ergonomics, this is where I get confused. So this is a very small knife, front flipper. Most knives that are small front flippers like this are slim little, gentleman's carry, something like that. Maybe not exactly gentleman's carry, but something. They're usually thin little things. This is so beefy. 0.58 inches for a knife with a 2-point-inch blade. I mean, I have other knives I love. I go to Berg Blades Wolf Pup. I love that. That's a small, thick knife, but it's not a front flipper. It's kind of a no-nonsense look to it. I don't know. I think it's just something in my mind that I equate front flipper to be a more fun, lighter duty knife, and this is absolutely not. And just look at the thickness. What I don't get is why they didn't need to do this. This knife could be just as strong, just as beefy, but look at those. Look at the G10 carbon, the scales on it. Look, that is so thick. That if these were half this length or half this width, I would probably be raving about this knife. I just don't get why these scales are so thick. There's no need for it. Even if you do want the beefier blade, even if you do want the also pretty thick liners, why are these scales so thick? They don't need to be. Like, literally, they could be a third this thick and they'd be absolutely fine. But I mean, I'm not going to say it feels bad in the hand. It doesn't really. It's not great. The edges are rounded off, but probably not quite enough. They definitely could be rounded off a bit more. This jimping is very well textured, but too far back. I wish it went all the way up here to where like the thumb studs are. This heavily jimped and heavy backspacer is kind of useless on a knife this size because, as you can see, like my hand doesn't contact that at all. It's just kind of aesthetic, I guess, and it's thick and it's heavy, and the ergonomics on it aren't horrible. I'm not going to say this is an uncomfortable knife to carry, not at all. It's fine, but I don't get it. I don't get why they went that route with it. I don't understand. I would love these to be so much thinner. Stas23 did his review on it. He milled them before he even did the review, but If you could mill them down to a thinner width, I think it would be a great knife. But as it is, it's nothing I can really object to horribly, but I don't understand why they went that way. All right, as far as the carry, this kind of carries over into the carry also. The pocket clip, great. Slides into the pocket really easy. Excellent tension, nice deep carry pocket clip. Very easy to conceal carry. But again, it's thick, and it weighs quite a bit. 3.7 ounces for a knife this size is just a lot. It carries okay. You know, same thing with the Ergonomics. It carries okay, but I don't understand it. I mean, there's no flipper tab sticking out. That's one of the lovely things about front flippers is you don't have to worry about catching your finger on it at all. Deployment, also kind of the same thing. It's okay. I mean, it is a front flipper. It's fun. D10 on mine is great. Snaps right out. You can use the thumb studs really easily also too. Not as easily as the front flipper though. It's clearly designed ergonomically more for the front flipper. But it's just not as smooth bearing-wise as the other rakes that I've gotten. If I want the blade centered, it's definitely not ever going to be drop shutty. And it does run on bearings, so kind of feel, and I know it's a tiny little blade, so it's never going to be a total drop shutter because you have lock bar tension, but I feel like you really got to give it some flick to get it to fall shut. It's just not as smooth as... where'd I put it? I mean, this is a bigger blade, so it's a bit unfair, I'll admit, but the 801 is just so much better. And the 801 is, I don't know if I've ever even torn this thing completely apart, and I even put the knife pivot lube magic sauce in this one. I like showing this because everybody gets mad when I show it and say, it's not as good as you say it is. Well, everyone on YouTube says it's really good, so shut up. It is. It's good. It's the best lube I've used, and I put this on it, and it's still... see, even my dog's mad at me for showing it. But I even with the KPL magic sauce, it still isn't that great. So the deployment on it is fine. Nothing wrong with it, but not amazing. Value, in conclusion... if you just really want a front flipper and you want to try one, you never had one before, you want to see if your digits can figure that out, it's probably fine. It's not expensive, 40 bucks, really good steel, 14C28N, one of my favorite steels in this price range, absolutely. So it's probably fine. It's a rake, it's well made, but I don't get some of the design choices. I just don't understand it. It's not that I don't like it, it's that I don't understand it. So if you guys can comment down below, you know, if you guys can help me understand it. But I think like a small chunky knife, one that comes to mind, one that I reviewed recently that I really like, Real Steel Poltergeist. This is about the same size. Still a nice heavy duty 14C28N blade. Still a definitely heavy duty built knife, but it's thinner. I don't think it's lighter. I don't remember now off the top of my head. Contrary to popular belief, I do not have a computer brain that remembers every stat. I don't think it's going to be lighter, but let's see. Yeah, it's a little heavier, 4.2. So it's a little heavier, but it is a little bigger. And I don't know. I understand this. It's thinner in my pocket. The blade is slicier. It fits my hand really well. The ergonomics all make sense. Everything that's done with this knife was a choice that I understand. I don't understand a lot of choices that were made in this knife. So that is my conclusion. It's fine, but I don't really get it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Bryant. Have a good one.